Hello everyone, and welcome to the latest in this series of podcasts with myself, Liam Carroll, a qualified financial consultant with SYS Wealth and Financial Planners. And the idea of these podcasts is to give valuable nuggets of information to people with some exceptional professionals, thus giving health to your wealth. And today we're absolutely delighted to be joined by Debbie Maloney. And Debbie is from Classic Hits in Munster, and she started in the newspapers in the Limerick region, made the move to radio in March 2013 and has never looked back. And Classic Hits is a multi-city station covering Limerick, Cork, Clare, Galway and Dublin and its commuter belt. Debbie, thanks very much for taking the time out of your busy schedule to join us today.
Thanks for having me, Liam. Lovely to be
here. Debbie, the first question, I think we've asked most people this question, but the first question, the COVID-19, from a personal point of view, how has it affected you?
I suppose personally the biggest thing for myself is I always worked from home anyway because our station is broadcast out of Dublin. So working from home wasn't something new for me. Working from home with a 6-year-old, however, then is completely different. And especially a 6-year-old that's an only child, because the attention is so needed on an hourly, minute basis, and not even daily. But my mom was a huge help to me with regard to babysitting duties, but then COVID-19 hit us all and we're stuck at home, and I'm living in Clare and she's in Limerick, and we weren't allowed to travel, we weren't allowed to see each other. You know, I have a 98-year-old grandmother that's a huge part of my life as well. That's, you know, we were kind of cut off. So personally, the relationship I would have with I suppose the female women in my lives was gone. So I found myself alone.
I
have a husband obviously, but he's at work and was more busy than ever. But it was strange. It was a struggle. Now I really did. I have to say it was a struggle. And hugs were a huge part. And everyone in Midwest Mentoring will know I'm a hugger. So that I really missed that.
Exactly.
You know, so it was it was a struggle. But you know what? I'm very lucky with my bosses. They understood the fact that, you know, a 6-year-old here screaming in the background, but we just did what we had to. Everyone was in the same boat, you know, so we were just lucky.
I think people are even after coming out of it more appreciative of their family than they ever were before. And anyway, Debbie, even on your story as well. From a professional point of view, then you touched on it slightly there. From a professional point of view, how did the COVID-19 affect you?
Well, professionally, like I said, a huge part of my job, be it even when I started with newspapers and then took the move to radio, a huge part of my job is the relationship building. Yeah. So that's a face-to-face kind of a relationship that I've always had, and not having that I found very difficult. You know, I know we had Zoom, but it was new to everyone. And like I'm 39 years old. It's not that I wouldn't be techie savvy, but it was like, it's not the same, you know, and to be able to sit down and have that conversation and be able to see into each other's eyes and, you know, build the relationship. It was fine with relationships that were previously built and that we had, but to try and target new people who would be advertising in a COVID-19 world and not be able to build it. I struggled, I really did. I struggled with it.
A big challenge for a lot of people, getting used to technology and
absolutely.
The flesh, as they say, isn't it?
I have to say, once you get used to it, I think we've all embraced it, and it has been, you know, it's really opened our eyes to how things can be. I think of our carbon footprint and how much everything has been reduced by people not on the roads and this kind of technology. You know, for that sense, it's been phenomenal. But it has been, we had to re-educate ourselves into how to deal with things better.
People adapt, Debbie, don't they?
Absolutely do. And you know what? I take great comfort, and I actually take great, I suppose I look through my 6-year-old's eyes, because they're so quickly adaptable. He came out of school, he was stuck at home and he was just fine. Whereas I was having some breakdowns in the background, you know, but we kind of have to look at it from their eyes sometimes to say, you know, just get on with it.
Get on with life, isn't it? Exactly. From your professional experience, some nuggets of information, I suppose, for people who maybe are still not back to work, that they can, maybe something they can do to develop themselves, that they can help them when they go back to work, or any bits of tips you have for people, Debbie, on that side?
Well, I suppose what I can look for is what I've done myself.
Yeah.
So I'd signed up to a couple of free courses, and I paid 5 and 10, 20 euros from other courses, be it from Excel to even I did one on opening your mind, you know, kind of just leaving yourself open to other options. I think there's so much out there that we can do to, I suppose, constantly re-educate ourselves. I did a Zoom course through Learning Waves, through the radio stations, that we would have done in the likes of the South Court maybe, or the hotels in Cork. But we did this one through, it was a digital marketing course. But I got to see the likes of some of the staff from Beat, from Clare FM, from Shannon Northside, some other stations around the country that I wouldn't have met those people before. I wouldn't have had the opportunity to see them. And yes, you know, it's lovely to sit down and have a coffee in a boardroom style with people, but I don't feel that I know them any less than what I would have known them if I had been in a room with them. We all had the crack, you know, we all contributed, we fought, we cried, we laughed. You know, we had no
David, that you had the crack, but anyway.
You know, we always have the crack. We'll always try that. But it really opened my mind to think that we don't always have to get in our car and drive 50 minutes one way and then 50 minutes home to do a 3-hour course. It can be done online, and it's phenomenal. We only did our presentation for our projects yesterday on Zoom. And we presented, we had 13 minutes each, and everyone got to see everyone else's as if we were in a boardroom. And it was phenomenal. I really, really enjoyed it.
Yeah. And then to move on to the other side, you're obviously dealing with businesses is the major part of your industry. And you've over 60,000 local listeners in the Midwest. Any advice to businesses, even outside of your own exact sphere, but on the overall media spectrum, that you give to businesses, how to push their business going forward, to push out of the COVID, I suppose, for want of a better way of putting it, Debbie?
Well, I suppose there's so much out there. It's a case of finding your niche. Okay. So I always say to businesses, and be it whether they're a client of mine or a friend of mine or someone looking for advice, I always hope that I can be true to myself and give the best advice that I can, in the hopes that they mightn't need me this time, but they'd come back to me when they do. So I'd say to anyone who owns a business or is running a business who is looking for advertising, is to say, okay, who's your ideal customer? Who is the person that walks through the door? What age are they? What sex are they? What reach? How much is their purchase price? And say, okay, that's who I need to be focusing on. That's the person I need to sell to. And then you go and you say, okay, is that a newspaper? Is it a radio station? If it's a radio station, which one? Which one targets the person that comes through my door, be it a female 40 or a male 18? You know, that's how you I suppose, get through who it is that you need. There's a lot of places out there that will sell advertising, from radio, newspapers, e-zines, you know, digital. Just find your target. And then
I know from dealing with you, and I've heard people saying it as well, that you're not the type of person that will push your own brand just for the sake of pushing your own brand. You're very big into someone to find the ideal market for them to deal with, for their medium to get their business. So you definitely can be trusted from that point of view anyway. That's a big
for the simple reason I always find that it will come back.
Yeah.
So I'd prefer for someone to spend €1,000 somewhere that suits them, and because the time the wheel turns, it always does. Yeah. They might come back to me, but they might tell 5 people about me. Classic Hits are niche in the sense that we're a multi-city station. So like you said, we cover Dublin and Commuter, and then the west of Ireland with Cork, Clare, Limerick and Galway and the counties. It's not for everyone, but it is for a huge proportion of them. We're 35 plus. Yeah. There are our typical listeners are homeowners with dependents. You know, they're in that 35, 40 plus bracket with a few bob. So it's, you know, I just try for my businesses and for the people I deal with, I have a relationship with them. They know that they can trust me. I'll point in the right direction, and hopefully it will come back around twofold. And it has, and I'm just over 7 years with Classic Hits now, and it's grown from strength to strength. So I'm very happy with our outcome at the moment.
That's brilliant. As a business professional, Debbie, I suppose we're involved in the financial services industry. Any financial services product that you would recommend, or that you found that you wouldn't go without, or you found very beneficial over the years?
Well, my husband would have been the one to push pensions since before we even got married, to be fair. And I was always of the illusion that I was too young for a pension. Yeah. And it's now something that I realize the benefit of. The younger you are to get into it, the better. I missed out on a good 10 years, that I could have been paying into it. When you see the refunds back, on when you do it through your wages, or it's phenomenal. And as well as that, with the times that we're in, I think insurance is huge, because I think now more than ever we realize how much we need it.
Yeah.
Just to fall back on, to have there.
In the event of something going wrong, yeah.
Oh God, like I think in this day and age that we're in now, Liam, after everything that's gone on, I think it's more important than ever.
It's funny actually during the COVID, Debbie, that the amount of people that have contacted us about setting up new pensions and things like that, whereas I nearly thought it would be the other way around, that people would be trying to, but they kind of realise that the value of them they had time to think during the COVID. So it's funny. I got the wrong nearly.
As well as that, Liam, I think people have had the time now to sit down and think about it. Yeah. They're at home and thinking, okay, everything has to be reevaluated. Yeah. Everything is on a go slow at the moment. So now's the time. It wasn't only just about the DIY in the house. It was about, okay, looking after your financial future. How can I fix things? What have I been putting off for the last couple of months that now I can do? I did it myself, sorted out all my insurance.
Yeah.
Never
had the accounts done as early, or nearly done it. The best bit of advice you ever got? Second last question, Debbie. The best bit of advice you ever got?
Best bit of advice. I had a toss up with this with my husband.
Two of them, Debbie. Allow you.
We were chatting about it, and I said I have to go back to the one. I think I was 16 or 17. I was in 5th year in school, and Mr. Brett was my teacher's name at the time. He always told me I was cheeky and I'd be in sales, and we used to always be skitting about it. But he always told me, always be yourself, and if you can't be yourself, just be quiet. And that's something I kind of find hard to do sometimes, is be quiet. But I do try. I said,
You're definitely always being yourself, so Debbie, because the second part doesn't apply, it doesn't.
I'm always myself, so I don't have to be quiet.
Exactly. And finally, from your own business point of view, you're available to be contacted. We're going to put in your details at the end of the podcast anyway, Debbie, but you're available to be contacted by people via Zoom, telephone, obviously, email. And are you going back out now doing face-to-face consultations with people, or what way you have to
I met 2 clients last week in Limerick, and I came home on cloud 9. My husband said, what's going on with you? And I said, it was absolutely great to see someone other than you and Ali. I'm available to come and meet people face to face, and keeping social distancing in top priority. If people are willing for me to come to their business and place to work, I would be delighted to. I'll come with 2 coffees and gloves on and be able to hand them over safely. There's no issue there.
That's the whole lot, David.
Mass if they want. But like that, we've re-educated ourselves to Zoom. So Zoom is a big factor in all of our lives now. So that's also there as an option.
Yeah, that's fantastic. Debbie, thank you very much for taking the time to join us.
Pleasure, and thanks for having me, Liam.
Precedes you. I genuinely mean that people have said that you're very good in relation to not pushing your own product, that you're a real media professional, that you'll help people as much as you can. So the best of luck in the future, out of COVID. And thank you too. And thanks to everybody for taking the time to download and listen and watch this video, and stay safe.